Okay, welcome to the next module, Understanding Cravings and Hunger. You know, health authorities report that 70% of Americans are overweight because their BMI is 25 or above. I consider almost 90% of Americans to be overweight because their BMI is above 22 or 23. But if we lose 23 even, of course, we get like 90% of Americans overweight, because the longest of people almost always have BMIs below 23. Even a small amount of excess weight is a risk factor for premature death, contributing to the development of high blood pressure, arthritis, gallbladder disease, depression, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and most cancers. And of course, being overweight is a significant risk factor for hospitalization and death from infections such as COVID. Our food environment makes it normal, almost inevitable, to become overweight. The American diet consists of about 60% of calories from processed foods and 30% from animal products, and less than 10% produce, like fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans, and whole grains, of course, by calorie percent. By calorie percent, Americans only consume 2% of their diet as vegetables. And I'm claiming that if you eat like other Americans do, with so little produce, especially vegetables, it's almost impossible to remain at a normal weight. And it is impossible to be healthy and have an optimal health span and lifespan. What most people do not understand is that eating unhealthfully leads to an overwhelming desire to overconsume calories. In order to get healthy and maintain a healthy weight for the rest of your life, it's necessary to learn everything you can about hunger and how to modulate it. I'm going to review some of the most critical elements you need to know for successful weight loss and, of course, a healthy life. And one of the main reasons for this drive to eat more and more calories we don't need is because of the addictive properties of commercial baked goods and fast foods, which cause withdrawal symptoms when we're not continually eating or digesting all the time. For example, if you were drinking 6 cups of coffee a day, would you feel sick and get a headache if you stopped the coffee? Of course. The detox from caffeine is causing the headache. We feel worse when repair begins and the body attempts to clean house and flush the toxins out. We can feel better by drinking more coffee, but that's not getting better. That's getting sicker by pushing the toxins back inside. The body removes waste products from most effectively when the liver is not involved with digestion and storing glycogen from the meal. Self-cleaning and repair is enhanced when digestion has finished or ended. So the more toxins your body retains, the more the end of digestion can be marked by uncomfortable detox symptoms. So it's when you finish digesting the meal that you start to feel these uncomfortable symptoms that most people think are signs of hunger, and they're almost forced to eat more food to make the discomfort go away, even though they've not burned off the calories from the last meal yet. They're starting to feel sick just because they stopped digestion. I call the headaches, lightheadedness, and other symptoms toxic hunger, because typical American foods like white bread, fried foods, and meats that do not contain antioxidants and phytochemicals that are needed by primates for the control of free radicals and cellular normalcy, then promote, obviously, all these toxins to develop and the buildup of reactive oxygen species we call ROS and advanced glycation end products, which of course we call AGEs, advanced glycation end products, and other harmful metabolites build up the more you eat unhealthfully and the more you don't eat foods that contain antioxidants. And most people are consistently led by these symptoms, have to eat too frequently and consume more calories than they require. And of course, there's this widespread overeating behavior that has led to an epidemic of obesity and continual rise in preventable chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. And all of this, obviously, is caused by unrelenting, toxic hunger from eating the wrong foods, driving this overeating epidemic. The question is, are these typical symptoms that people consider hunger, is that really hunger? Conventional wisdom and even medical textbooks suggest that they are, but it's a tragic mistake. I've noted for decades that those that adopt my micronutrient-rich dietary portfolio lose these former sensations that drove them to overeat. Their perception of hunger changes after their diet improves. The sensations of hunger become less frequent, less uncomfortable, and are mainly felt in the mouth and throat rather than the head and the stomach. I've documented and published these results in 2010 in an article in Nutrition Journal entitled "The Changing Perceptions of Hunger on a High Nutrient Density Diet." The key findings from this study were mostly that an excellent diet resolved hunger pains. 80% of respondents reported that their experience of hunger had changed upon following a high nutrient density diet, and a milder sensation in the throat became the general center of the hunger sensation. The conclusion of the study, involving more than 750 people, was, quote, "Enhancing the micronutrient quality of the diet leads to changes in the experience of true hunger and a reduction in the uncomfortable symptoms associated with hunger despite a lower caloric intake." So stomach grumbling, headaches, fatigue, irritability, and lightheadedness a few hours after a meal are not hunger. They're symptoms of eating unhealthfully. They're detox from that unhealthy diet. And that's why most diets fail. Simply restricting portions of the same disease-causing foods does not resolve the symptoms of toxic hunger. The function of true hunger, of course, is to protect and prevent the breakdown of muscle tissue for energy. Thus, true hunger is a signal that directs the body to the precise number of calories needed to maintain healthy, lean body mass. A nutritarian diet, if widely adopted, could bring millions of people in touch with true hunger and stop the proliferation of obesity and preventable chronic diseases. But there's another driver of overeating here. High-calorie, low-nutrient food is addictive in another way that drives overeating, because fast food activates reward pathways in the brain that make you want more and more fast food calories, of course. Just wanted to take a moment and ask you if you're enjoying today's module so far. Are you learning a lot of great information? Do you want to have unlimited access to the entire masterclass? You can watch it again and share it with a loved one, now or in the future? Would you like to join our movement and support our mission to inform the world that true health and healing through proper nutrition is possible? Then please consider supporting our cause by owning this complete masterclass. Your support allows us to continue spreading this empowering information for free. Also, a portion of each sale gets donated to our charity that does scientific research on the power of nutrition for achieving optimal health. Simply click on the button below to join the movement and support our mission. I'm honored that you're committed to your health and to the health of your loved ones, and I look forward to sharing a lot more with you in the upcoming modules. Thank you, and let's dive back in. By fast food, I don't just mean calories that you can access in a fast food restaurant. I mean calories that you can access fast and get into your bloodstream fast. Like when sweets and white flour and oils spike the bloodstream with a high and fast load of calories, it stimulates the dopamine center in the brain in almost the same way that narcotics and cocaine does. After chronic overstimulation with concentrated and rapidly absorbed calories, our cravings intensify, and eventually, after chronically eating fast food and commercial baked goods and oils, the enjoyment we once got from eating those rich foods turns into cravings with an intense desire that's difficult to satisfy, along with a desire for more and more of it, which is not satisfied with smaller amounts. And along with other nutritional researchers, I've noted that this withdrawal depression occurs in those people withdrawing from processed foods, sweets, and fried foods. A scientific study published in 2011 in the journal Public Health and Nutrition evaluated the consumption of fast food, hamburgers, sausages, pizza, and processed pastries like muffins, donuts, croissants, with a median follow-up of about a little over 5 years. And these researchers found that fast food and commercial baked goods were linked to depression in a dose-dependent manner, meaning the more fast food that the people ate, the more they're likely to become depressed. And the results revealed that even just 2 servings a week of fast food or commercial baked goods compared to those who ate little or none were 51% higher to develop serious depression. That's just 2 servings a week. And if you consume more, the risk was even greater. And what's not recognized as easily as what's something called dysthymia, which is like a minor and chronic flattening of emotion. It's not like full-out depression, but it's loss of happiness and the loss of excitement about your life. It's, nevertheless, this dysthymia is not good emotional health, and almost all overweight people who regularly consume fast food and white flour, contain, or these commercial baked goods are dysthymic. In other words, not everyone who consumes processed foods becomes depressed. Many people eat lots of processed foods and fast food, they don't become depressed, but almost all of them, the vast majority, have their mood altered. Their happiness and satisfaction with life is diminished, and their concentration and their creativity is weakened. They can't be the best version of themselves. The resolve to improve one's life and health is weakened by the exposure to unhealthy food. A reduction in productivity, enthusiasm, and intelligence, and a vicious cycle of dependency and pain. This is just food addiction, unquestionably, and food is powerfully addicting, and a big portion of our population is powerfully addicted to food. And recovery from food addiction can be challenging. Dieting and surgery can treat the symptoms of obesity, but not the issues that cause you to overeat initially. And it's not going to usually solve the problem. Getting well and learning to prefer healthy food takes time. It takes perseverance and repetition. To get well and to permanently resolve issues with weight, you have to consume a lot of healthy foods to build up your body's nutrient reserves and to remove and eliminate the reactive oxygen species, the ROS, and the toxic waste products in the body so you don't get toxic hunger. So it takes time of eating right. For example, I recommend a big green salad every day with a healthy nut and seed-based salad dressing. And you may not even like eating salad at first, but you got to do it to gravitate towards and then eventually remain at that lower favorable weight forever. You have to retrain the body to prefer healthy foods and to prefer healthy eating. You literally have to retrain the taste buds, but it happens. Eating the unhealthy American diet overstimulates and deadens your taste perception, so you can't enjoy the flavor of natural foods. So nothing tastes good for you except these highly palatable junk foods. Most people think healthy foods don't taste that good, and they're missing out on enjoyment in life if they choose to eat so healthfully. This is simply not true. There are thousands of fantastic and creative recipes that support this diet style, but still it takes time and perseverance to prefer eating this way over what your old diet was. It takes, abstinence from the addictive substances, meaning sweets and white flour and fast food and fried foods and commercial baked goods. In conventional addiction recovery, the addict is taught to remove themselves from the toxic environment or to avoid slippery slopes like bars and nightclubs until their sobriety is stronger. A food addict is around their slippery slope all day long. Food addicts are led down a path of moderation that's doomed to fail. Moderation is a big fat lie. Food addicts can't have a cheat day nor could an alcoholic just go to the bar once a week. The point here is that one bite doesn't work for a food addict. Quite often it derails them in the same way one shot of whiskey will crush an alcoholic. It just perpetuates and fuels the desire for those unhealthy fattening foods, and they never lose their attraction for them because they keep dabbling in them. I'm insisting on 100% abstinence from sugar, salt, oil, processed foods, and white flour while you attempt to flood your body with healing foods, including all those G-bombs we mentioned, the greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds, and other foods, obviously. Because in a few months, you'll not only see phenomenal results, that you'll lose weight, you'll learn to prefer these menus and recipes so much more, and you'll like it better than your old diet. It's your body, and you only get one of them, and a chance to build back excellent health. And here's a quote from someone that posted in my member forum, just to say what they wrote down. They wrote, and this is just a representative of so many people, quote, "I can't do this 80% or 90%. For me, it has to be 100%. Otherwise, I go 100% in the other direction. I learned my lesson, but not only am I steadily losing weight for the first time in my life, but finally I'm beginning to enjoy eating this way." So here's the tip for this session. Make your home your safe zone. Clear out your refrigerator. Dump all the garbage out of your house in a construction bag. Empty your cabinets of all SAD foods. That means no sweeteners, no white bread, no white flour, and no oils. If you live with SAD eaters, designate a section of the cabinets and refrigerator that's just for your healthy foods and separate the area so you don't go into their areas and stay out of the danger zone. This information is critical for your success and for everybody who has problems with eating. And so happy you've joined me for this program, and continue to move forward, and let's go on to the next module, module number 7.